Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, and members of the Subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. 40 years ago, the United States faced the 1973 Arab oil embargo, setting off a series of policy initiatives in Washington designed to reduce our dependence on foreign oil. Despite them, domestic production of oil had declined and oil imports had increased until recently. Thanks to American innovation, new drilling technologies have allowed us to tap our vast shale resources and make the United States the largest liquid fuels and natural gas producer in the world. And with Canada's vast proven oil reserves, the prospect of North American energy independence is no longer political rhetoric, but a promising reality. The Institute for Energy Research has monitored closely the energy boom that is occurring primarily on private and state lands. Today, we welcome the committee's review of new ideas to strengthen our nation's energy infrastructure and facilitate access to North America's vast, stable supply of oil and natural gas. According to the government's own numbers, North America has enough resources to provide reliable and affordable energy for centuries to come, which IER highlighted in a recent inventory of North America's energy resources. To fully benefit from this energy renaissance, however, we need the infrastructure to get the energy where it is needed and the energy security that this infrastructure would provide. Pipelines have been used for 3/4 of a century, providing the safest, most efficient, and least cost transport of oil and natural gas. But due to existing pipelines reaching near full capacity, oil transport by rail has increased dramatically. Last year, oil carried on trains from Canada to the United States increased by 46%. EIA estimates that 1.37 million barrels of oil and petroleum products per day were moved by train during the first 6 months of 2013, up 48% in just 1 year. Total Canadian oil imports to the United States have also been rising steadily. Between 1993 and 2012, imports of oil from Canada increased by 150%. Most of the oil comes via pipeline, though failure to construct the Keystone XL pipeline has precipitated a greater use of trains for oil transport, both from Canada and within the United States from the Balkan fields in North Dakota. The United States imported almost 3 trillion cubic feet of natural gas from Canada in 2012, 12% of our consumption that year. The United States gets 94% of its natural gas imports from Canada. The rest comes from Mexico and from overseas as liquefied natural gas. Canadian natural gas imports to the Northeast and Midwest, areas that also benefit from increased domestic production of the Marcellus Shale, are slightly declining, while Canadian natural gas imports into the Northwest are increasing. 4 U.S. states, Minnesota, Montana, Idaho, and North Dakota, account for 75% of all the natural gas brought into the United States via pipeline. The border states serve as critical links for gas-dependent states like California, where over 55% of electric generation comes from natural gas. On the East Coast, Vermont, the first state to ban hydraulic fracturing, is entirely dependent on natural gas from Canada. On our southern border, the United States is a net exporter of natural gas to Mexico, where exports have been on an upward trend since 2000 and have more than doubled since 2007. Mexico is also our third largest supplier of oil and petroleum products, supplying almost 400 million barrels in 2012, though this is down from its peak in 2006. By maintaining a well-working energy infrastructure between the United States and our closest allies in North America, we can reduce our reliance on overseas oil. Net oil imports are now just 35% of oil consumption, but because Canada and Mexico are supplying over 60% of our oil imports, our net energy dependence on North American oil is just 14%. This number will drop due to increased production here and in Canada, but we must ensure that North American energy commerce is free from impediments and permitting delays. More pipelines will mean greater energy security, safer transport, and the ability to move resources to where they are needed most. The recent politicization of pipelines in the U.S. will not accomplish any goal of those who oppose them. Rather, oil and natural gas producers will simply use more costly modes of transport that pose greater risks to the environment. They will export North American energy investments and jobs to countries with far fewer commitments to environmental protection. Affordable energy is essential to economic growth. Efficient and low-cost transport of energy provides the arteries of commerce that nourish an economic recovery. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.